In this episode of the Latino Business Report, we have a candid conversation with Jacqueline Camacho-Ruiz, a visionary entrepreneur that has created an enterprise of inspiration. Her keen sense of service, coupled with a vision to bring good to the world, has led her to create 2 successful award-winning companies and 2 nonprofit organizations. Born in Mexico City, Jacqueline moved to the United States at the age of 14, where she quickly learned English and German. From a very early age, Jackie devoured literature. Authors like Dale Carnegie, Zig Ziglar, Napoleon Hill, and other business icons influenced Jacqueline to launch her award-winning marketing and public relations agency, JJR Marketing, in 2006, an international media and publishing company. She is one of the very few Latina sports airplane pilots in the United States and founder of Latinas in Aviation, a global brand that includes books, magazines, scholarships, and events. She believes that taking off is optional and landing on your dreams is mandatory.
Welcome to the Latino Business Report. This podcast covers business, people, and issues of the day from a Latino perspective. The Latino Business Report is brought to you by TAMAC, the Texas Association of Mexican American Chambers of Commerce. TAMAC is the leading Hispanic business organization in Texas since 1975. Now for your host, J.R. Gonzalez.
Hello, folks, and welcome to another episode. Today's guest is the amazing Jackie Ruiz. So let's get into this, Jackie. We're talking a little bit, of course, this is Latino Business Report, but what really impressed me is just your overall desire to succeed in business. I mean, I've read some of your bio and your background, but you came to this country at the age of 14, speaking no English whatsoever. And when you came to the U.S., where did your family settle? Was it there in Chicago, or did you settle someplace else?
In Chicago.
Okay, check out. Well, describe for me that journey. I mean, you come here to the U.S., young Latina, 14 years old, not speaking any English whatsoever, and now you're just a very successful serial entrepreneur that helps the community, that flies airplanes, that goes around the world, just changing life for a lot of people.
Yeah, you know what? It's amazing how. I always say this to our young ladies from the Fig Factor Foundation. Sometimes you find a mission, and sometimes a mission finds you. And I think in the measure that you are aware, you can surrender to that. But of course, I wasn't born into this success. I wasn't born, doing what I loved and, making magic for other people, helping others land on their dreams. It has been an amazing journey. And that really started when I was about 5 years old, reading amazing literature. If I were to provide 2 amazing, life-changing books to the listeners today, I would definitely say Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Yeah. And second is Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. To me, those were the 2 books that shaped my life. And that's how I kind of knew, I'm like, one day, if I serve enough people, and I think Zig Ziglar used to say this, if you help enough people achieve their dreams, you'll achieve your dreams. So my journey has been one of aligning with, my joy and gratitude and eliminating the resistance around me, because it hasn't been an easy journey. And I have been down many times, but, I now get to enjoy at 40 years old the fruit of my labor, and I get to travel the world. I get to, like you said, fly airplanes. I have 33 books that I've published under my name and over 400 with my publishing company.
How many books have you published under your name?
33.
33 books. What are these books about?
Business, different methodologies of marketing, business, children's books related to aviation. And then I have a plethora of anthologies where I share stories of many, many women and leaders and young Latinas. So all of that comes up to 33 books. Don't ask me how books. I got them done.
And you said, how many books have you published altogether?
Over 400.
Over 400 books. Wow.
Mm-hmm. And I have authors in 25 countries. Sometimes it's hard to to imagine or to to see the actual impact, because it's like a metaverse of
Yeah.
inspiration. I've published thousands of stories of Latinos, thousands and thousands of stories through many organizations. Sometimes an anthology could be 10 authors, sometimes it could be 100 authors. So you can kind of do the math. I have over 50 anthologies, multiple, authors each. It's just such a beautiful blessing, and it's all through storytelling and inspiration.
Amazing. Amazing. So, which came first? Was it your marketing firm that came first?
Marketing first, basically,
Okay.
it was my driver.
So you had the marketing firm that was your driver. If you don't mind me asking, how old were you when you started your firm, your marketing firm?
23 years old.
23.
23. Yes. And you know what? I'll tell you a story. I was telling that to a friend this morning. She basically I went to a meeting, and of course I didn't speak a word of English, right? So I subcontracted a lot of people that were native, speakers, and I happened to hire this renowned, subcontracted him a renowned writer from a local newspaper column, and he had his own PR agency, over $1 million, PR agency. And he came with me to one of our meetings. He was also acting kind of a mentor to me. And we got out of the meeting, and he said to me, he's like, Jackie, I'm going to ask you to tone it down. I counted the word amazing. You said the word amazing 23 times during that meeting. And, we're in a business setting. I know you are passionate, and, I got to my car and I just broke down, because I said, I don't remember saying the word amazing 23 times. I mean, who in the world is counting? Number one. Number two, why is he counting the words? And number three, I was like, how do I identify if I don't even know that I did it? It's like part of me, part of the passion,
Right.
part of the excitement. So, luckily I picked up the phone and then called my other mentor, who had built a $33 million company at the age of 38 years old. And I called him up and I said, hey, Brian, I just, I kind of wanted to ask your advice. One of my mentors said, to tone it down. And he says, heck no. Tone it up, Jackie, because this energy, this passion, this love for helping people that you have, this brightness in your eyes, this is going to be the number one ingredient for you to achieve success and become a millionaire, because that fire in your belly and that sparkle in your eye is going to make it happen. So you know what? Tone it up all the way.
Just find another word than just find a different word than amazing, right?
Yeah, no, and he said, no,
You toned it up. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Well, it's obviously worked. I mean, you're sitting right now on this interview in your summer home in Mexico. So nice. So you toned it up, and with that toning up, did you start seeing results of even more success?
Absolutely. Within a couple of years, I doubled my business. And then again, and again, and again. And then that was 18 years ago when I created JJR Marketing. And then as I was starting to publish my own books, I became my husband, as he would say, he's like, you're becoming the Mother Teresa of book publishing advice. Because I had 7 books and people were looking at me as an example. I was only 26 when I published my first book. That was 14 years ago. And I was doing conferences. And, they started asking me to go to Europe and Dubai and Costa Rica and all over, the United States and Mexico. And people are like, oh my gosh, how'd you write books? So I was spending a lot of time. And it was at a point where I'm like, you know what? If I ever do anything with publishing, it'll be author focused. It'll be with the author in mind, because I'm an author first. And I never chose to be a publisher. Publishing chose me. So we created a publishing company 9 years ago, and within 2 years, the company quadrupled the size, and it was just unbelievable. And to this date, it continues to grow and evolve. And so now I run JJR Marketing, an 18-year-old firm, and then I run Fig Factor Media, 9-year-old firm, and And I always say, success for me is profit and impact. And, they just have to be present in your life, and they intercept and they connect. And that's what I've been able to do.
Right.
So it feels amazing to be able to do what I'm doing and give back and say, you know what, I want to help. I just want to help people, and I do that by these two agencies, companies, and then, my nonprofits as well.
Jackie, I also read that you had a bit of a health scare, a while back. You want to describe that for me and what happened and how did that change your life?
Well, that changed everything for me because when I was 21, I was diagnosed with cancer. And when I was 23, I had pre-cancer by my liver. And that led to the complete reconstruction of my digestive system. And when I woke up from the surgery, after being hospitalized for 2 weeks, 40 doctors, the doctor said to me, he says, Jackie, we don't know if you're going to make it, or we don't know if you're going to be fed out of a tube for the rest of your life. So a doctor telling you that at 23 years old, when you had a 5-month-old baby, I was about to graduate college, a brand new marketing agency in the land of dreams, I looked at the doctor and I said, I just have one question for you. And I said, can I leave the hospital by next Thursday between 8:30 and 8:45? Because I'm graduating with honors. I'm doing my finals and I'm going to graduate with honors. He looked at me, he smirked. He's like, your positive attitude saved you. And came back 2 weeks later. They removed the tube. Yes, I mean, inside my digestive system, I might look like an alien. But on the outside, I started, reading more, meditating more, writing more, just doing the things that I know that can give me life, that positive attitude and helping more people. And that's when the foundation too, came to my radar about helping young Latinas. And it changed my life. It created a sense of urgency to serve. And that's when I also decided to become a pilot because I said, if I do die, I'm going to write a book so my children know who I was. Second, okay, I'm going to do everything I ever wanted to do, travel the world, fly airplanes, whatever, I used to even race cars on the track, with my husband for a little while. So
you were a race car driver?
Yeah, for a while I did some racing at the track.
So you definitely wanted to live dangerously, may I add, but you wanted to live.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I'm like, wait, if I died, I just want to make sure that I'm.
Well, yeah, you wanted to definitely have experienced life. Now, what motivated you to want to? Okay, race car driving, I could understand. Flying, how did that fit into everything? Did you have family members that flew? Did you watch a movie, read a book, look up in the sky, see a plane? I mean, what's the motivation behind wanting to become a pilot?
You know what? I basically one day, my husband and I went to an air show, and we saw a little plane that looked like a toy. And my husband said, I want to get my pilot's license. So we bought a kind of a Discovery flight, kind of thing. It was in the middle of summer. So we go to the airport and this little toy looking thing, but it's a light sport aircraft, right? Mm-hmm. They took off the doors because it was the summer, and they gave a flight to my husband, and then they gave a flight to me. Now my husband, he's 6'3", very tall, and he's like, oh my gosh, this plane is so small, And for me, I had this like beautiful spiritual experience because I looked outside and like there's no doors. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, if I ever need to ask God for another prayer, like this will get, if I'm flying a plane, it'll get there quicker, because I'm like 3,000 feet, 5,000 feet above. So that was kind of my initial thought, but I knew
from your lips to God's ear, quicker because you're 30,000 feet up in the air. Okay.
3,000. I wish I could.
3,000 feet. Okay.
I can't go beyond 10,000 without an oxygen mask, but it's another story.
I never quite heard it described that way, but okay, that's unique. I guess that would work. So you guys actually went shopping for an airplane before you even knew how to fly?
Well, we went shopping for a discovery flight because we knew,
Okay.
we wanted to kind of have that experience to see. But my husband decided, no, this is not for me. So he kept racing on the track because we were members of a racetrack and we had, sports cars and all this stuff. And I basically, continued to do that for a little while. And then one day I started doing marketing for the same aviation school because that was my passion, marketing, right? So the owner, I mean, they were super nice. And every time I shared the campaign, they were like, wow, aviation, all this stuff. And one day, literally, I cannot tell you that it was the most amazing moment or anything, but it was just one moment when I was driving. I was on the highway and I said, I'm going to become a pilot. And I literally said that. And
Okay.
I called the aviation school and I said, hey, can you give me some easy reading? Because I'm going to go, to Europe and I want to start reading about, what this is all about. And when he handed me all these books, I was like, wow, what am I getting myself into? Because the biggest one, the most impressive one was, he handed me a pile of books, all aeronautical knowledge and all this stuff, weather related and all that. And then he handed me this book about this thick. It's called Far Aim. And I'm pretty sure you know about it, but it's essentially the Bible for pilots. And it's basically a book, a thick book, where a third of it is how you get your license. And 2/3 is how you lose your license, written by attorneys for pilots. So that's when I knew, I'm like, this is serious. I mean, me having the privilege to fly the federal airspace in one of the most restricted industries in the world. And for me to be bestowed that, that gift, or earn it really, because it's not just given to you, it's earned. You have to be proficient in 49 areas of aviation in order for you to even do your check ride and to get your license, which I ended up doing in 2018. I started flying in 2015, got my license so I can carry passengers. Between 2015 and 2018, I basically did a lot of the solos and I would go do my tours in Europe, come back and continue to study and practice. Sometimes I would go to the airport and land 10, 20 times, practicing the different types of landing. And then I would do the ground school when I was traveling. And finally, I was like, I am making this happen. I'm going to do this. And I saw myself, again, just like I saw myself being successful with the marketing agency, I saw myself with the FAA examiner handing me a certificate saying you're the pilot in command, and that he actually said you're the captain of this aircraft. Okay. And I said, "Oh, that's even better."
And obviously, at that point in time, and even today, there's not that many Latinas in aviation.
No,
and so I could only assume that's what motivated the group that you have there, Latinas in Aviation. Tell us about that.
Well, I went on a search because I'm like, you know what? There's not a lot of pilotinas, that I see anywhere. Okay. And a friend of mine gave me a teddy bear for my first solo flight, and I called her Amelia. And then I just like, you know what?
Your friend was Amelia, or the teddy bear was Amelia?
The teddy bear was Amelia. Okay. She was my fearless companion. To every flight, every solo flight I did. Cross-country flights, everything. And when I came up with this word, Pilotina, and my husband being the creative director for both of our companies, he said, oh my God, this could be an amazing logo. So he created this beautiful logo. And then I started giving away teddy bears. And then I said, you know what? I don't see a lot of Latinas, because a lot of them were coming to fly with me, and I've taken over 100 passengers, and I've given away over 2,600 teddy bears around the world, to schools and different things. I mean, for my 40th birthday, I went around and packed the airplane with 400 teddy bears and delivered them to
Jackie, do you have your own teddy bears? Do you have your own teddy bears made now or manufactured? Or do you just buy them off the show? Okay.
Yeah, and I have it's customized with my logo, and it's I've given away almost 2,700, like over 2,650, and I just placed another order, so that'll be 2,750 teddy bears that I've given out around the world. The new order is going to arrive in 3 weeks because schools, when I do keynotes and stuff, keep asking me. But back to the Latinas in aviation, I went on a search. I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to find more Pilotinas. And it took me 9 months to find 21 amazing captains, aeronautical engineers, air traffic controllers, like a lot of people in the aviation world that happen to be amazing Latinas. And I went to the United Nations and I found the former NASA chief engineer, Evelyn Miralles. And I said, oh my gosh, this amazing woman has to do my preface for the book because she is incredible. And she did. And then I put her on the cover of a magazine that I did and all of that. But long story short, Latinas in Aviation is the first organization of its kind for Latinas ever in the 100+ year history of aviation. We've launched a Latinas in Aviation Global Festival. We have 2 magazines. I've personally given away almost $10,000 in scholarships. Like I said, I've given away, soon to be 2,750 teddy bears. We have soon to be 4 volumes, and we have authors all over the world. Latinas, first Latina captain of Volaris Airlines in Mexico, first Latina captain of American Airlines, first Latina to be in the Air Force and be a trainer for the F-40. The first and the youngest captain in South America, in Venezuela, with I can't remember the name of the airline right now, but she's the youngest captain in Latin America, and she's part of our book. So all of this happened with the one idea.
Is that book out? Already?
Yes, it's been out for 3.5 years, and soon to be the 4th volume of that. So now the Latinas are. Go ahead.
Where can they find this book? So on Amazon?
Amazon, yeah.
Go to
it's
your
on
publishing
Amazon.
company. Okay.
And Fig Factor Media. And you can go to latinasinaviation.com and you'll see all about the books. And now the Pilotinas find me. They come to me and say, I have a story, or my cousin or my aunt, or, they have a story to share. So, and we have a permanent exhibit at a museum in Maryland with artifacts donated by my authors. So how amazing is that? It's like history in the making. It's just so humbling for me. Just beautiful.
Wow. And it all started because you wanted to just live life to the fullest and says, I want to fly. And with a co-pilot named Amelia. Jackie, that is just totally, totally awesome. I mean, a museum, how cool is that? Okay, Jack, it's amazing. So if anybody's out there listening in Maryland, or somebody is in Maryland, where do they find that museum at, or that exhibit at?
The museum is at the College Park Aviation Museum, and it's also next to a strip, which is the longest running strip in the nation. Even when 9/11 happened, it was still open for military operations. So they have the Field of First Foundation, and that's why they wanted to have, this first exhibit of its kind. So the exhibit is pretty big, pretty sumptuous, I would say, from my experience, and it has a lot of, like I mentioned, a lot of the artifacts donated by my authors. And it just keeps growing, right? Because now we have soon to be 4 volumes. And every time that we go back to the annual Latinas in Aviation Global Festival, they come in with more items and donate them to the museum. So it just keeps evolving and keeps growing, which makes me so happy.
As it should. And the impact it has on so many people, and especially the young Latinas out there and there again, your foundation. So let's talk a little bit about your foundation and what you do for these young women, and how does it change their lives?
So the Fig Factor Foundation was created in 2014 with the aim of helping unleash the amazing in future Latina leaders. And the idea was that we recognize that they are already amazing. We're not giving them the magic wand. They already have it. We're just helping them unleash it. And so what we do is we have a 2-day program where they learn about the 8 Fig Factors, 8 core values, so to speak. And then they basically get 6 months of mentorship, and we continue to monitor them and invite them to amazing experiences, and also invite them to give back to the community, therefore making them full citizens of the world. And that's that's what we aim for. That's what we, what we want to do, making sure that
And
they
the
have
young
a
Latina,
well-rounded approach.
the young Latinas are from what age to what age?
12 to 25. And
Okay.
primarily they're from the United States. We do have a partnership with a university in Mexico, Universidad de Guanajuato. So we've done a lot of programs in Mexico and the United States, bringing the girls from Mexico.
And I'm
So
sure that some of these girls have actually been up with you in the second seat in one of your planes.
absolutely, many of them. In fact, I've taken over 100 passengers up in the air, and ages 5 to 80 years old. And a lot of those passengers are young Latinas that I've invited to fly.
I'm curious. I'm sure you've inspired a few of them to want to become, what did you call it? Pilot.
A Pilotina.
A pilotina. That is great. So the girls that go through your foundation, how long is the program? You said
The mentorship is 6 months, but really,
6 months.
Yeah, we are still in contact with a lot of them. It's like 6 months to a lifetime, it seems like.
Well, Jackie, what's next? Where do you go from here?
I continue to serve. I have 33 books. I have 2 successful companies. I travel the world. I fly airplanes. I do a lot of stuff. I just, every day I renew my contract with God through acts of kindness. And I always say, as long as I'm alive, when you have seen death so close, you kind of create that sense of urgency to serve. So I don't have any major plans, even though I'm a pilot and I literally just want to continue to do what I do and help catch some dreams for people, like I do every day, and just be alive.
You said something interesting, that with a lot of these young Latinas, you pull it out of them. You find it in them. In other words, they already kind of, it's almost inbred of what they're going to do, what they want to do. It's just you help bring that out of them so they have the courage to pursue that dream. Now, I was talking to somebody, and if I'm not mistaken, there was a young little Latina named Jackie that was climbed a fig tree. Do you want to explain that one to me?
Yeah, this little girl was 5 years old when she decided that she was going to start her first company in Mexico City. Climbed up a little fig tree and basically got outside her door and started selling those figs in a wobbly table. And most people were not even paying attention to her. They were just passing by, minding their own business. This little girl didn't give up, and she got up from her chair and started chasing them down the street, telling them all about the amazing value that those figs were going to provide to them.
If they passed your little like some kids have a lemonade stand, for this little girl, which is you had a fig table. I mean, you were selling figs, and if they kept walking, you would chase them.
Yes, because I had to. This was like the start of my company, so I had to. I had to provide the value, and both of my parents were entrepreneurs. So for me, it was like, they need to see the value. Maybe they're not seeing it, but I need to articulate the value of buying 5 figs for 3 pesos and making people at the office happy, because now, he's been the bearer of good news and figs.
Fresh fruit.
So that's how I kind of saw it. I'm like, this is your only, like, this sense of urgency, right? This is your only chance, because I don't know if I'm going to be here tomorrow. I mean, this is my grand opening. So I ended up selling 30 pesos in figs, and my mom comes out and she says, "What are you doing?" And she was very impressed. And for many years, I did not remember how old I was. She reminded me that I was 5. I didn't remember how much I actually sold, but she reminded me that it was kind of a lot of money for a little girl. But she reminded me of, like, I always remembered, and she reminded me of this, like, the grit of this girl, right? The resilience and the fact that I didn't give up, and, how, like, she was very impressed. And I always remembered, I'm like, oh, but wait a minute, I made it happen. I chased them down the street to show them that I actually provoked that. So then, the Fig Factor Foundation, the baseline of that is the 8 figs or the 8 fig factors that can change your life, right? You can stand on the sidelines and be traumatized for the next 30 years because nobody listened to you, or you can actually do something about it. And that's what I did. And that's what kind of changed my mindset too, because it was like my very first accomplishment in life was like, I did this. That was pretty cool.
It's pretty cool. Now, it just so happens that the Fig Newtons happen to be one of my favorite little packaged cookies. So next time I eat a Fig Newton, Jackie, I'm going to be thinking of you and that as 5 years old, climbing that tree to sell your figs. Jackie, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to be on the podcast today. But do you have any closing remarks or any closing thoughts? And for the listeners out there, I'm going to in our show notes definitely get put a link to Jackie's website, to where you can find her books, to her Latinas in Aviation, and find some other connections if you want to follow her. Because I'm definitely going to start following her on all her social media links. Because definitely, Jackie, you're an inspiration, and you're only you just turned 40. Amazing.
I just turned 40.
What you've accomplished is, most people don't accomplish in 2 or 3 lifetimes. So I'm very anxious to watch you and see what you do in the next 4 or 5 years. Jackie, any closing comments or any advice you have for anybody out there? And let's not just, it's not about Latinas. There's a few Latinos out there that could probably use some advice from you as well.
Well, I'm known for this famous quote, which is, taking off is optional. Landing on your dreams is mandatory. So just remember that. One
more. What is it? Taking off is optional.
Landing on your dreams is mandatory.
Okay, makes sense. So those you heard it, folks. The words of wisdom from Jackie Ruiz, a serial entrepreneur, a go-getter, an accomplisher, a marketing firm, a publishing company, and a foundation, and giving back to the community, helping other people achieve their goals and their dreams. So we're going to try to land this podcast on a positive note. You've been listening to the Latino Business Report. I've been your host, JR Gonzalez. You can find all of our episodes of Latino Business Report at latinobusinessreport.com. We also have our entire library on YouTube. And Jackie, once again, thank you so much for joining us. And I would say good luck, but it doesn't sound like you need it. But definitely, when wheels are up, may clear skies be before you, and your personal and professional life keep progressing as it has.
Thank you so much.